losing weight itself shouldn't be the goal.
No.
To get more fit, to get more healthy, and to basically tie it to specific things that you want to achieve. That's, I think, the better way.
Also, acceptance of yourself, that we are actually sometimes or even often failing. And the more you embrace those things, the better you learn actually. But that is, of course, the hardest thing to do.
We're going to address 5 different situations and questions from our audience. I want to lose some weight, but it feels like a big step and I don't know how or where to start.
Losing weight is not the goal itself. It's the result of
Yeah.
what the goals should be.
Yeah.
Does the brain have a limit on how many goals I can realistically handle at once?
I don't think there's a limit about how many goals you want to achieve. The problem is that you won't achieve them if there are too many.
I want to quit smoking. How?
So you need to break multiple habits at the same time, and this is where it goes wrong. So you basically need to...
What missed opportunities still linger on your heart? Which decisions do you still regret? And what moments do you look back on with a big smile on your face? As we're saying goodbye to 2024 and welcoming 2025, it's time to let go of some moments while bringing back others into our memory to appreciate them with gratefulness. Welcome to the Christmas special edition of the Neurolympics podcast. Brought to you by Brains First, the company that helps you make better talent decisions powered by neuroscience. I'm Lucy, I'm the host of the Neurolympics podcast, and I myself have a background in psychology and applied neuroscience. This episode will be all about reflections, meaningful change, and setting new intentions, turning them into achievable goals. We once again have on our podcast our neuroscience experts and co-founders here of Brains First, Andries van der Leij and Elias Lichte. Welcome once again on the Neurolympics podcast. Nice to have you here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
In our very special Christmas setup. Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
With the candles and everything. Yeah. And today will be, well, sciencey, but it will also become personal. Maybe a little bit emotional, but for sure practical. So only a couple of days until Christmas. Are you already in a Christmas mood?
Yeah, the tree is up. Everything is fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, I look forward to the fights with the family during Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
We both have young kids, so that automatically makes it very special, actually.
Yeah, that is true. And I think it's the perfect time to look at, reflections, right? Before entering the new year, we want to reflect on the old year and see what achievements we made, look back at the happy moments, at the joyful moments, growth moments, but also at moments maybe that brought us grief or frustration or anger. I think all of us are still wrestling with something in our life that we have to let go. Maybe stuck in chasing goals or relationships that we maybe should leave because they're stressing us out. So I want to take some time to look at the neuroscience of reflections. And maybe we start with the unpleasant because, we start with the not so nice first and then end with the more nicer things. But before we look at the neuroscience, what is something that you are wrestling with in the year 2024 where you say, okay, it's time to let that go?
Looking back, I am noticing more and more that it's hard for me to get into a sort of off state where I really pay attention to non-functional things, like not work-related, etc., but just staying in that loop and not unwinding enough to appreciate the simple things in life, which for me this time is about. And that has to do with just keeping into the loop, I think, too much. And I think a lot of people will recognize it. Just have your phone in your pocket, look at it in the evening, etc. Just makes you not zone off and stay in that sort of work kind of mode too much. And I think that is something I want to do less. And I think it's also not that healthy for many people, I think. These devices are fantastic, but they keep you in certain mental states for too long, I think.
That's very right, yeah. I think we all have it or experience
A lot
it,
of people do. They're fantastic things, but they are highly addictive as well. And it's not just the thing, but it's also what the thing is doing, right? So push messages, LinkedIn push stuff, all that kind of stuff. It just keeps pulling you in.
For sure. Yeah, for you?
Well, I'm going to make it quite personal here. So I have twin daughters of 7 years old, and one of them is really excelling at school. And the other one, basically, whenever the teacher starts talking, she shuts down. So she doesn't care. Only when it comes down to intrinsic motivation, then she is like very motivated to do stuff. But only when it's in her mind's eye and it's prominent there. So that produces quite some worries. At the same time, she's very happy, and like, why would I care that she doesn't fit into the system, in the educational system that well? Like, I should care about mental health in that sense and being happy, and not so much about achieving some kind of scholastic goals, I think. So that's one thing that I want to park.
That's a nice one. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I can imagine that's quite tough, especially since they're so well close with each other, right?
Well, I think it's kind of weird. Like when we're talking about the executive functions that we're talking about the entire time, they are highly heritable, like 98%. But for some specific reason, this kind of recombination feeding into one of the fraternal twins and the other one, like, yeah, it's a weird combination of me and my wife. In both cases, I would say. In one case, it's fully functional and fits the school system, and for the other one, yeah, she probably needs to find her own way.
Definitely. And when we look at the neuroscience of reflections and letting go and finding acceptance in difficult situations, in challenging situations like you experience, and also maybe to let go of, regrets or certain decisions we made and we're not quite happy with. Why is it so important that we find closure here from a brain perspective?
So let me start by saying that lots of our memories, lots of our past is colored by emotion, right? And basically, if you try to retrieve it, try to appraise it, you can make it sit in, say, a different emotional box. This is typically called cognitive reappraisal, which is a very proven technique to relabel things that happened in the past. So reflection on the past could actually put it somewhere else in your, say, emotional memory and put it to rest, or to be okay with it. So it's a proven technique to make to make more of yourselves by reflecting on the past in a good way. Just not by ruminating and going over it and experiencing this emotion, but basically to try to relabel it, try to place it into perspective.
Yeah, that's indeed true. So the immediate feedback when you, for instance, have a negative or positive experience is highly colored by not the only emotions, but also the interpretation at that moment. So that reappraisal actually is a technique where you look at the same situation from different angles, so that you contextualize it a little bit and actually reappraise. There might be other reasons why things happened the way they did, and maybe you're, in hindsight, because of that coloring of most of the time these negative emotions, too harsh on yourself, just thinking about what led to it, why, what actions of me led to that.
Could you have done anything else?
Etc.
So also some self-criticism and kind of beating yourself up.
For instance, there's one line of therapy, which is called cognitive therapy,
Yeah.
where actually a coach does that. Like, for instance, simple example is you go into a bakery, and you walk away, and the baker was unkind to you, and then your appraisal is, he doesn't like me.
Yeah.
And then a coach can say something like, maybe that baker has been up since 4 a.m. So it's not that personal. Yeah. But simple things like this help you reappraise these things. The trick and the difficult part is, of course, that you start asking yourself these questions, which is, of course, much, much harder.
Yeah. So it's about like also breaking these loops. And I mean, for a lot of people, it could be going on for years, maybe still sitting in childhood, right? And also, I think at this point we want to say it's also advisable, to how do you say, turn to a therapist, right?
Yeah.
It's not all the time that you can manage by yourself, but to indeed break these maybe thinking loops and
for the big things, indeed you're right. Then you need to. It's fantastic that you can turn to a therapist. But the key thing here is in small steps that you just basically get it out of your brain. Yeah. For instance, starting small, like Ilya said last episode, putting it on paper, talking to her friends. Yeah. All these things actually help just to, not to get into these loops and be stuck in those.
Yeah. And of course, like everybody, well, we have our own internal world. We perceive the world in our own conscious way. Mm-hmm. This might... might more often than not be the way that other people perceive it. So in that sense, like changing your perception and your conscious perception is very difficult. But at least you know that people think differently about what your experiences can be useful to place it in a different way.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think with unpleasant moments come, of course, emotions like grief and frustration and anger. And we have a tendency to connotate them as negative. However, I think we could take a moment to also look at the other side. These emotions are useful in a way for the brain, right?
Indeed.
Because they trigger some action away from the stressor. So how could we...
Yeah, so all emotions, basically these emotional markers, as the Macias called them, they are basically sort of tags onto experiences, and we have them because we learn. We learn, for instance, to avoid things in the future, like I'm not going into this shop anymore, or this what did I do that this outcome was so good? So you learn from emotions. So next time you do better. But the negatives are as reinforcing, as they call it, as the positive ones. So actually you should almost embrace these negative emotions. But that, of course, takes a little bit of courage and also acceptance of yourself that we are actually sometimes or even often failing. Yeah. And the more you embrace those things, the better you learn actually. But that is, of course, the hardest thing to do.
Definitely. And of course, it's not pleasant to feel them in the first place. However, they do spark some action, I think. And because you really don't want to sit in these emotions, right?
No.
You kind of want to move away and feel differently in a way.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to the pleasant side. What is something that you look back on in 2024 that you really cherish? A happy moment, something you're proud of, something you're really grateful for?
Well, there's actually a couple, but I think generally what I really appreciate is going on holidays with the family and putting my phone away, right?
Good one. Yeah.
Then really having dedicated time there. So that's one thing. I also did go on a tournament with Taekwondo and for the first time, I actually was in a national tournament.
Wow.
I won 2 bronze medals. That's
really?
not too surprising, I would say, because
High five.
in the veteran class, so there's usually only 3 people in the veteran class, but still, to actually do something that you're quite afraid of to do, and then to get over it, to join a tournament like that, that would be a personal kind of victory to me.
Very nice, Ilya. Cool.
Yeah,
For you, Andries?
I'm not that easy in complimenting myself on anything that I did or happened. But the things that actually I cherished most in the last years, I have young children as well, is that they have their own personalities and a little bit similar dynamics to what Ilya described. They're vastly different, but in order to see them grow, the oldest is 8 now, the youngest is turning 5 in February. That is a fantastic thing to experience. What can happen in a year is enormous.
Tremendous,
It's tremendous, yeah.
Oh yeah, and so to piggyback on that one, so I now have the Wednesday afternoon and the Monday afternoon with the kids. So and now my wife actually has more time to work full time, and like in the last years, she basically took care of the kids during the work week. Now it's 2 times a week me. So that's
Some daddy
lots
time.
of good dedicated time, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that you bring this up. And from a brain perspective, why is it so important that we reflect on the positive moments or the moments that allowed us to grow or where we achieved something? Why is that from a brain perspective so important?
Well, yeah, the brain is seeking. The simplest thing is we are seeking not happiness, but in the core, we're just rewards, right?
Yeah.
But the key thing to learning is to reappreciate us. Just don't take them. It's not candy. There are situations, most of the time it's pretty complex and abstract, like with kids or relationships, to really understand this reward, because then also you can almost do the reverse of what I just said, to see how these rewards are not just chance. You did it, right?
Yes.
Or other people helped you to achieve it, or
Yeah.
they didn't happen to you. Or and then you also can learn to cherish those things better, and also to actually maximize it, to improve it, right? To make it even better. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I think the bad things in life actually come naturally. So you age, you get ill, people around you get ill, you lose people along the way. And if you go lie in your bed the entire time, this stuff will happen anyway, right? And I think if you don't put in efforts to do fun stuff, to actually set some goals for yourself, to reap the rewards from that, that's something that's not for granted. So I guess the bad stuff in life is actually stuff that you get for granted, and the other stuff you actually need to work for yourself. Because if you, quit doing things, then you don't get the benefits.
Yeah.
Strong.
It's also about what this time is about, right?
Definitely.
Basically, it's just a yearly social ritual where we actually start appreciating the little things in life. And it all sounds very corny, but it's true, right? It is true.
Hopefully.
Yeah. This is what's important.
Yeah.
Like the people very near to you, the simplest rewarding factors of life.
Yeah.
Because indeed there's a lot of bad stuff that just happens.
Yeah, definitely. But this point in time, I want to say also thank you for you. I'm really grateful actually that we started the Neurolympics podcast this year. I think that's a great achievement, and I'm so, really grateful because also all of our conversations have and always move me, and I think they make an impact on people's lives out there. So this is one of my moments to look back on, to be grateful and to cherish them. And
Thank you.
just
Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
a good moment to bring this up. I think it's time that you at home grab your pens now and a piece of paper and write down what Eya and Andries exactly did now. Write down something unpleasant, something that you maybe want to let go of, something that you're still grieving. It might also take some time. It might not be that after this podcast it's all gone, but I think it's important to note it down. We think it's important, and also something that you're happy for, that you're grateful with. Take your time, however long you need, and then just come back on the episode, because we're going to turn to some methods and maybe strategies on how we can reflect well, because we want to make this an active behavior, right? I think it needs to be active in order to achieve some transformational change here. So what are maybe some methods or strategies you can think of that can help to reflect actively and achieve some transformation? Yeah.
Let me start in an easy way here.
Yes.
Take a shower.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like typically if we're standing, having a shower, then the most important things come to mind when taking a shower, because this is a real break, right? Like people typically take their phones to the bathroom, so that's not really a break. You don't have your phone with you when taking a shower, except maybe for the Japanese. So sorry for saying this. 90% of the Japanese actually take their phone with them under the shower nowadays.
Really?
Well,
They have very clean phones.
Very clean phones, but this is a deep kind of reflection moment, and actually the most important things that are going on in your life basically surface when taking a shower, and write it down afterwards.
Love that. Andries, you're in a deep thinking phase.
Yeah, I'm pretty. This is because we're in this personal sphere, and so you have a negative experience, right? Mm-hmm. And then, indeed, the immediate response to that is important because it stores it. But maybe you can, like Ilya's saying, but maybe just the next day, just try to find out what kind of bad things happened.
Yeah.
So you force yourself to, after that emotional heat, just try to rethink it. So you can it's basically the similar point, but another strategy, like next morning or after a shower. Just the basic point is that you have to look back on it without that immediate response, because then the anger, etc., is just a little bit less, hopefully, and then that helps in reappraising, and see it more cognitively and less emotional.
And I think I also really like the point, Eya, that you bring up the taking a shower. I think what helps for me when it comes to reflecting and also letting go of stressful moments or something that's really occupying me is, I think a lot of times we run away from our own thoughts, or we try to avoid sitting with our emotions or thoughts because they're unpleasant. And we try to keep ourselves busy. I think that's also like a thing we do in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to take a moment to really sit still. No distractions, no music, nothing.
Yeah, that is hard, though.
It is hard. It is really hard. And you can also, you maybe don't want to do it alone. Maybe you can take someone with you,
So I think this is very funny kind of scientific research that came out, I think 2 or 3 years ago, where they actually asked people what they were doing, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing right now? So that would basically be a wearable tapping you on the wrist, like, what are you doing right now? And apparently when people take a break without anything, basically waiting in line before you, when going for shopping, like, people hate that. Mm-hmm. If you ask people to stroll off without any device on them, they typically have serious problems with their own minds because, you ruminate, you think about this bad stuff, it basically surfaces then. and also the fun part, like tapping on the wrist. What are you doing? Having sex? That was rated like the best experience. Like, how on earth are you going to respond to research like that, right? Yeah, being tapped
Fantastic
in the wrist
research.
and then, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
nice participants.
I will
Well,
look
yeah.
it up. So
I would I would
comment.
suspect that it survived dropout rates. That it's these are fantastic participants. Where was this done?
Well, I will look it up. So we'll
Yeah,
share
we'll
it
get back
later on
to us
in the
later.
comments, so you can read all about it. But specifically, this
Yeah.
kind of break without having anything to do,
Yeah.
that brings to surface the most important things, and usually it's quite negative what comes to surface.
Yeah.
Then, but
Yeah.
then you at least know that that's something that you need to take action.
Definitely. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And something positive, I really like to look back at, well, I mean, now we have the phones, and what is something useful? We have the storage of pictures. And then sometimes, these moments come back, and it's like I'm re-experiencing them. I look at the photo of beginning of 2024. I'm like, oh yeah, this happened. Like I met a friend and we did this or that. And then
You're right.
I really I'm a quite visual person, so I love to look at these pictures, and then
Yeah.
it makes me really emotional. Yeah.
No. I think the benefits of these devices are way bigger than the downsides. But it's basically what Ilya is saying. You're right. These slideshows, especially if you don't make them yourself, but they happen to you, they're
Yeah.
fantastic. I love
That's
them as
nice.
well.
Yeah.
But Ilya is right. The underlying reason why I'm thinking like this is this I need to break this behavior is because you first of all do not appreciate or think about the really important things, but also this non-functional spending of time is actually really functional.
Good breaks, yeah, functional breaks, I would say.
But there's no goal to it, and then stuff emerges. Then stuff becomes clearer because we don't take time for it anymore. I think there is actually like words invented this year. I think it's something like being in a plane without raw dogging in a plane. That's basically young people sitting in a plane without putting a movie on, just looking at that screen with the. But actually, it's pretty sad because I'm that old. That used to be the way you were in a plane, right?
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
read.
Yeah.
And also in the train,
Yeah.
we took a paper.
Yeah.
We did stuff, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people stared out of the window.
I do that still.
But
And I have
it's
the
pretty rare though.
I'm a little bit afraid of flying, so if I have to look out of the window because my brain needs the perspective of I need to see the clouds or something, and I'm okay. Well,
Okay.
doesn't matter. But I have the most emotional moments on airplanes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because my mind is just wandering, mind wandering.
Yeah.
So I have the best insights. I always take a notebook to the plane. I have the best thoughts, and I
Yeah.
also get emotions. I usually cry on the plane because of something really nice that comes up or something sad.
We're going to crash!
That not. I hope that's not
Oh,
going to
but
happen.
that's
also
interesting.
in the future.
Apparently, it's the heightened arousal stage
Yeah.
because you're afraid of it, coupled with not doing anything. It makes you sort of.
No, that
Yeah, it
actually
is an
makes
interesting,
sense.
Makes sense.
interesting stage. Yeah, but people
Yeah,
should
higher
take
arousal.
more care of. And indeed, we're talking about breaks a lot,
Yeah,
but zoning out.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And,
think one of the proven methods is actually to leave your phone, leave your wearables, and just take a stroll in the woods. That's one of the best ways, right? So there's none of these sharp man-made edges like buildings, etc. So it's more like this. There's not really something to specifically look at, capturing your attention. So that's kind of the ideal environment where you can mind wander. And I think that the comforting nature of the woods themselves actually make sure that you also have this kind of pleasant, positive experience. So you can change it around. And actually looking at kids at school, when they look into a park, or a wood, that actually raises their school success quite a bit compared to, say, a city environment. So it actually puts the mind to rest a bit.
Yeah.
Puts the mind to, say, in break mode,
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah.
And then you can actually have all these thoughts, place them in reflect on them in a slightly different way. And usually it's the most important stuff that comes to
It's
mind.
also this is my strategy. So when I sit on the couch, it's hard for me not to occupy myself just doing something fast, right? Because
Very relatable.
yeah. But I love hiking. And because you're busy walking, but not too. It's and indeed, like you are saying, it's a slow movement of landscapes. It is interesting, but not distracting. And when you are in places where there are a lot of hikers, you rarely see people hiking like this.
No,
You don't do it
phone
with
is
their
away.
phone, yeah.
No,
with
you
their
don't do
phone,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's not something that pops up.
You know what I love about our conversation is that all these methods and strategies that you're sharing now are very simple. It's not a difficult mathematical equation.
No.
It's really, taking a shower, going into the nature, sitting down with ourselves. This is really
The
good
goals
stuff.
itself
Yeah.
are not never. No, it's not never. But most goals are pretty simple when you break them down.
Yeah.
The difficult part is doing them
Yeah.
or stop doing them.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part.
Well, I think that, like, to me, like, people are very bad at putting priorities, right? To plan and what is the most important thing to do. Like, at the end of the day, you typically know what is the most important thing for tomorrow. If you take a shower, you typically know what is the most important thing. If you go hiking, then it actually brings all these important things to you at that specific moment to mind. If you take the kids with you going on a hike, then they probably start nagging about, like, we want to drink something, so that's not the way to get the proper rest, I think.
How long?
Indeed.
How far do we have to go? Hiking and young children are another.
Yeah,
but
Daddy,
that's
how
it.
much longer? Or sitting in the car.
Indeed.
When are we gonna arrive? 5 minutes later.
Indeed.
And when are we there?
Yeah, no. But watching people, kids in nature is cool again. So you have to
Yeah.
find your ways. But you're right. These things are indeed simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a lot
Yeah,
of things are pretty
definitely.
simple.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think, hopefully this you can use these insights and reflect well before entering 2025. But let's turn from reflections to setting new intentions and goals for the new year, something we quite like to do in our culture, right? These New Year's resolutions you just shared up front, you never set them, I think,
No.
but many people do. And I've asked around in our personal surroundings and also some of our colleagues, and I've collected some intentions, and I want to address 5 of the. Well, I also did some research on what are the most common New Year's resolutions people would set. So, Tom, our videographer, it's time for stepping up in front of the camera for the first time. But Tom is going to hand me 5 envelopes now, and we're going to address 5 different situations and questions from our audience for you, and it has to do with setting intentions and New Year's resolutions. Thank you, Tom. So here comes resolution number 1, or intention number 1.
Very curious.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, here's the case scenario. I want to lose some weight, but it feels like a big step and I don't know how or where to start. What can I do to get going?
Yeah, the key is here some, right? So it's not concrete enough. It's an intentions. So I want to lose some weight.
Yeah.
And then also, it's not clear. So there are multiple ways, of course, to lose weight. Not eating and burning more. Those being the biggest two factors.
Yeah.
But the key is indeed, exactly in the question is, I don't know where to start. So make it a concrete goal and start small. and not make it a year goal. Make it a year goal, but make it, for instance, a 1 month goal, or to get going. And then, of course, the goal is not losing losing weight is not the goal itself. It's the result of what the goals should be.
Yeah, I would rather, like, the people that I've seen losing weight successfully actually have this kind of method that during working days you typically do have a very specific diet. And then the days after, during the weekend, for example, everything is allowed. And so you basically have a streak of 5 days. Monday, let's make it a streak of 4 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then everything is allowed again, right?
What's it called? A cheat day?
But your stomach actually shrinks during these 4 days. So your calorie intake is already limited for the rest of the 3 days. And you have this kind of reward immediately. So in that sense, like people that are actually going on a diet where you eat the same stuff 30 days, it feels non-rewarding. So in that sense, these smaller steps that you immediately after 4 days, you already have a food reward that actually makes it feasible. So I think, that's something that I've seen people persist on with great success.
Nice.
And indeed, and then that is a very smart tip, because you are also rewarding yourself. So you can squeeze that cheat days to 1, and in the end 0. But you don't start with that, right?
No,
Similarly, you can also think like, I'm going to exercise a lot. But the result of that for most people with a certain diet, that they will get more hungry. So it is, right?
And actually, if you exercise a lot, muscles are more dense than fat. So typically people gain weight. So to actually judge where you're losing weight, like I think losing weight itself shouldn't be the goal.
No.
To get more fit, to get more healthy, and to basically tie it to specific things that you want to achieve. That's, I think, the better way. So don't go weigh your own body weight. Use a centimeter to actually measure. If you become more muscled, your weight will actually tell you that you're doing the wrong things.
Yeah, and that is the tricky thing about losing weight, of course, because it is measurable.
Yeah.
Like with a scale. But there are so many factors influencing it. Yeah. And itself, it's a result of the things that you're doing. Yeah. And the goal should be simpler. Like I don't know, start walking during after my lunch break, and then maybe start running a little bit, or eat more vegetables every lunch, or whatever. Small. And in the end, it probably will result in weight loss. Yeah. But I think most people will just stop eating immediately and then being on scale every day. Yeah. And then that is too fast. And also the behavior itself is not really functional. It's too rigid. Yeah. Start slow, right?
Start slow.
So I think, reward yourself food-wise. So this is kind of counterintuitive. My take on it. I like it. And put in some exercise and choose your exercise carefully, because you actually want to up the burn rate during rest, and some sports actually lower the burn rate during rest. So if, for example, if you go running, it typically takes down your burning rate, your calorie burning rate during rest. So that's not the way to lose weight. You actually need to go exercise, weightlifting, stuff like that. That actually raises the burn rate during rest. So actually you burn more calories while doing nothing.
Wow. Ilya's turning into a
physiques health coach.
Health coach.
No, but I think...
No, this is really...
he knows a lot about this
most
stuff.
Most of the things, you're like, how many hours are you going to exercise anyway, right? Maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe even 10 hours. But what about the other 150 to 160 hours
That is true.
in the
How are
week?
you gonna
So
spend them?
That is
raise the
true.
burn rate during rest. That would be the best way to lose weight, or to do more walking, for example.
Yeah, indeed. Well, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, of course, look up to, for instance, they also see all those videos of people doing insane things in gyms or running marathons, and they think this is not for me.
Yeah.
But they are not aware that, for instance, walking a little bit fast actually is also already quite a good exercise.
And it's good for the brain
Indeed.
Yeah.
too.
And it's less stressing on your joints, and it's good for the brain. So, and it's a
Yeah.
way to start, right? You can
Yeah.
always up your game.
Yeah.
But if the game is basically so out of your reach, you probably won't start, or you will try and then
And you can
be a
even
little bit
integrate that
disappointed.
into work, right? So you have a 25-minute meeting with someone. Go for a walk.
During the meeting, yeah.
During
Turn
the
the meeting
meeting.
into a walk. I love that.
Yeah.
Cycle to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You're
a good
also
one.
probably more honest because you're not looking at each other. Also. Because you're not looking like this. It has more
Good one.
benefits than just walking.
Nice. Okay, let's turn to intention number 2. Let's see. Ooh, it's a lot of text. I have a lot of things on my mind that I want to tackle in 2025. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't know how to set my focus nor how to prioritize. Question 1. Does the brain have a limit on how many goals I can realistically handle at once? Question number 2. How can I narrow down my options and confidently decide where to begin?
These are the questions, of course. I don't think there's a limit about how many goals you want to achieve. The problem is that you won't achieve them if there are too many, especially when it comes to habitual behavior. So things that have to be into your system daily, weekly, that you want to start or stop.
Yeah.
So the thing is indeed the prioritization. What is the most important thing that you want to tackle? If you have problem prioritizing, the easiest way is to do it with somebody else. Because then they can ask questions like, basically it's not that difficult, but that you help a person to prioritize. Like if you have to choose between these two, what would it be? What would it be? What would it be? If you're asking it yourself, you end up, this is what this question sounds like in loops.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would agree, but I think I would say one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
one
you
or
can only tackle one thing
Yeah. In the end,
for a prolonged period of time. So it would be good to really indeed discuss this, prioritize, do it with someone else, or take a shower, walk in the forest, and your brain prioritizes what is most important. But just
come
tackle
out,
one thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Very straightforward. Let's turn to the third one. Will, hurry. I want, oh, this could be me. I want to learn a new skill this year, learning Dutch. I know,
very good.
I know this will take a lot of time and effort. How can I turn practice into a habit, make it a habit?
Yeah, that is language learning as an adult is hard. And I know of two routes. Actually, Ilya can say a lot of things because he has more experience in his personal sphere. But first is you have, of course, these techniques that gamify it a little bit and that it's simpler. Because the worst thing, I think, for an adult is just to start learning books. And you can either do it socially. There are these wonderful conversation groups where you just start with people at your level, just try it out, and you also learn new people.
Yeah.
Or you do it. There are of course these programs or apps that make it gamify it a little bit, so you get rewarded because it's not an easy language to learn.
No,
not at all.
No.
But maybe you actually know quite something about this, I think.
Language learning?
Well, I know that you're in your personal sphere.
Yeah, sure. Well, you basically, I think people are very reflective and hesitant to make mistakes. So you need to have an environment where you actually feel free to make mistakes and to start practicing, because practice is the only thing that really, and when it comes down to, say, the difference between adults and children and these language acquisition skills or rates,
Yeah.
they aren't terribly different from each other. Children are just less afraid to make these mistakes in general. So they
Yeah.
learn faster because they allow themselves to make mistakes. So to create more like a growth mindset, a learning experience where making mistakes is actually something that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also what I mean
Awesome,
with the
yeah.
social setting. If you said talk to a native, that could help. But if those are completely correcting you all of the time, like this is wrong, then maybe that is not rewarding.
Yeah.
So getting into with peers at your level, or
Yeah.
have a kind native, that also would work. Then you actually start doing it.
Yeah.
Then you learn probably better, and it also will feel more rewarding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, the fourth one. Let's see. Ooh, I want to quit smoking. How?
Yeah, that is a very, very, very good question. Yeah. Basically, that is stopping a behavior, right? That's the hardest thing, especially since it's habitual.
Yeah.
So the simple thing is just do it, and just
Nike.
but that doesn't work well for everybody. If you just go cold turkey, basically, then you have to replace all these things that are attached to it, like Ilya said before, like the break taking, etc.
Holding something.
Holding
I
some-
think it's a
yeah.
combination of different habits. So you need to break multiple habits at the same time. And this is where it goes wrong. So you basically need to tear down one habit at a time. So you can stop smoking while still holding something and taking breaks. Or you can basically replace the cigarettes with, say, a chewing gum. Then you still have the nicotine. You don't hold anything anymore. But then you still need to take breaks. So what are you going to tackle first? I would probably say nicotine replacement first, while still holding something and taking breaks. And then like the holding something, get that out of your system. I would stick to the breaks. I think breaks are healthy
you're right.
for you.
You're right.
But
Yeah.
basically break one habit at a time. And this is basically a stacked habit. And that's, I think, the key thing why it's so difficult. And of course, like if we look at animals, like the most addictive thing that you could do to your nervous system is to get some nicotine in. So in that respect, it's very hard to break that habit anyway. It will at least take you a year.
And the problem with nicotine is also that it's extremely contextual. If you quit smoking in the work, that doesn't mean you have quit at home. Or conversely,
that's
if you
what you
quit
mean.
at home
Good one.
and you take, I don't know, the train for the first time in 3 weeks, there's this craving again because
Yeah.
the situation, all the things that you see and experience,
Yeah.
the things that you hear, all your sensory experience is locked in with that reward. It's like snapshots.
Ooh, or a party smoker.
That's of course the
Yeah.
easiest one because usually there's alcohol involved, so your self restraint is lower, and then it's also more fun in the kitchen or on the balcony. So
Is it? I don't do it,
It
but-
always is.
Are you trying to make me
No,
try?
but this is at least what smokers collectively tell to themselves.
Yeah.
But it's a thing that you have to break in each context that you have experienced. That's pretty hard. And then
Yeah.
again, you get these tips that Ilya gave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But stopping it in one doesn't mean that it's done in the other. That's the tricky part.
No, but I think you should replace the nicotine, the cigarette, with another nicotine provider. Or you could take these nicotine blockers like Tabex, where you continue smoking, but basically doesn't work anymore the way you experienced it before, then people typically quit smoking very rapidly. So it actually takes quite some effort to fix it.
Yeah. It's good that we're also realistic here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
One of the most difficult things to break.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be soft on yourself. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
And quitting smoking is easy, right? I've done it 100 times before.
Quitting is not
And
it's
then
the easy
you're
part.
back on it.
Not starting again. That's the hard part. Yeah.
True. Okay, the last one. Okay, here comes a bit of a longer context. I want to start running and sign up for a half marathon in August, but I struggle with having a lot on my plate already. A full-time job, a family. I'm a mother of 2 boys, 5 and 7 years old. How can I make sure my running intention doesn't feel like just another task on my already busy to-do list?
Well, you're tasking yourself if you, within 8 months you want to run a half marathon. But let's say it is a goal, right?
Yeah,
it's very
it is a goal.
concrete
Yeah.
and it's also measurable.
Yeah.
But the key thing here is to allow yourself to break it up into simple steps.
Yeah.
So that the steps in itself, like a chair, will feel, stairs will feel rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just indeed tasks. And also be a little bit kind to yourself if you just don't make it. But of course, that is breaking the goal.
Yeah.
But the key thing is to start small.
Well,
So
start
then it doesn't
smaller,
feel
I
like
would
the
say.
effort.
You start walking, start doing these plane, take the kids with you, right? So in that sense, combine it with other things that you're going to do anyway. So to actually make it an integral part of your life in that sense. And also what we were looking at, like go on a walk when having a meeting.
Yeah.
So you already put in the exercise, you already raising this heartbeat a bit. And having smaller goals in that sense that are more intertwined with your daily routine.
Involving the
one.
kids is actually very smart.
That's a smart one.
Because if
And
they're
the dog.
5 and 7,
5 and 7, yeah.
they can ride along with you on their bikes.
Yeah, sure.
And then they are actually coaching you
Yeah.
while exercising themselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let them
Best
put
of
on some
all
skates or
worlds.
skiers, right? And when they...
Yeah, it's smart.
maybe they can even learn a new skill on the way, like skateboarding or...
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. Well, thank you. This was really fun and I hope also very, I think very practical and insightful for all of our listeners. We hope that you can make this a success at home. That, first of all, we wish you a happy holiday. Very nice Christmas. And then, of course, a very nice start into your new year. It won't take long. You'll hear back from us in January. But until then, stay happy, stay healthy, everyone. Please make sure to subscribe on our channels, of course. Put some remarks in the comment section. We would love to engage with you. But until then, stay healthy and sound. And we will see you in the next year on the Neurolympics podcast.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Ciao, ciao.